Hey guys, today I'll continue my adventure with astrophotography using this little Startravel 80 achromatic refractor. Recently, one of my viewers suggested that I could make a video showing not only the processing of the image in GIMP, but also stacking in Deep Sky Stacker. So I decided to make such video, and thanks a lot for this suggestion. Recently there is full moon in Poland, so not many targets at the sky to image with an achromatic refractor, except open clusters. Open clusters, and I decided, using this equipment, I decided to shoot the famous double cluster. You should see this image right now. For those who don't remember or didn't watch my previous video, I shoot stars using only the central open. So this hole has 40 millimeters diameter. So altogether, with the focal length of 400 millimeters, it gives f10 focal ratio. And the background, so using this central open, I shot about half an hour, 33 frames of the length 60 seconds at ISO 200 using this camera. It's Canon 4000D, not my usual Canon 450D, but unmodded Canon 4000D. So I set this camera to ISO 200 and I shoot 33 frames of stars of this double cluster, only with this central open. And then I removed the lens cap and shoot the background at f5 for about hour and a half. It was exactly 20 frames, 4 minutes each. So yeah, this is my trick. This is my trick for making photography with this achromatic refractor. Maybe I show you all sets of frames. So this is Canon 4000D and Startravel 80 catalog. So I have 60 biases at ISO 200, and for the material for the double cluster I have f5 lights, 20 f5 lights. I have 60 f5 flats, and I have 33 f10 lights for the stars. Yes. And I have 60 f10 flats. So actually more calibration frames, yes, more calibration frames than the actual light frames, but well, this is how it goes. We can quickly compare the difference between stars. This is f10. The vignetting is because one more important thing. I also used Bader semi-apo filter. It's 1¼ inch filter, and I thread it into a clip-in frame. Clip-in, I don't know how to. It's a 3D printed element which allows to install the the standard 1¼ inter-threaded 1¼ filter inch inside the camera. It's clip-in, let's call it frame. So this causes the vignetting. So anyway, these are This is one single frame at 60 seconds shot at f10. As you can see, the stars are really very good. They look almost as from achromatic refractor. So this was f10. Single frame f10, and this is single frame f5. The stars are it's almost heart shaped, so I was laughing that this version is good for Valentine's Day. It's like filter which makes stars in a heart shape, but it's not done on purpose. It's just the image which this achromatic refractor provides. So this is f5. As you can see, the chromatic aberration is quite visible. But I imaged at f5 because I wanted clean background. There is no signs of banding. The background is nice and smooth, whereas if we switch back to f10, it's only 60 seconds. If you look, we can see the banding here. I think, yes, it's quite visible. I don't want to go into details why this banding is visible. It's basically to avoid banding, you have to shoot at least, you have to shoot for such a long time, single frame, to go much above the read noise. That's it. I will not elaborate this. So basically this frame is much too dark to avoid banding. The frame shot at f5 is bright enough, but the stars are much better at f10. Okay, so let's go back to Deep Sky Stacker. So when you are in Deep Sky Stacker, maybe I will also show the version of Deep Sky Stacker I'm using right now is 4.2.5. 4.2.5. I don't want to install the newest version, even though there is a message that it's available for download. This version, this older version I'm using, is quite alright, and I don't want to risk that something will be messed with the newer version. So I'm using 4.245 Deep Sky Stacker version. We will be combining frames shot at f10 with the frames shot at f5. For this, we need to register both sets of frames, the frames at f5 and the frames at f10. We need to register all of these frames on one reference frame. And for this, the first thing we need to ensure when running and when using Deep Sky Stacker is to go to settings, stacking settings, and ensure that you are in standard mode. Not intersection, not mosaic, but standard mode. This will crop and align all sets of frames to the reference frame. And this is what we want, to align the stars on both stacks, on both sets of frames, on frames f5 and frames f10. So this is the first thing. Be sure your stacking parameters, the result tab, is set to standard mode. And another thing which is worth checking is go to row fits DDP settings. Go to fits files tab, because I am using ACR version 1. So all my files, as you probably noticed, all my files are in fits format. So be sure to check, and of course the camera, the DSLR is color camera. So be sure that you check monochrome 16-bit fits files are raw files created by a DSLR, and be sure to check the right Bayer pattern filter. For all my Canons and also for the Nikon I use is RGGB. So be sure to check the right Bayer filter pattern, because if you choose the wrong Bayer filter pattern, then your colors will be very strange, very awkward. So yeah, for the Canon 4000D, I should set the generic RGGB Bayer filter pattern, and that's it. So now, coming back to our sets of frames. So first I open picture files, and let's first open the F10 lights. Okay. Now I open flats made at F10, fits files, details. I made 60 flats, and I made 60 bias frames. If you are using lights and flats with a Canon camera and you don't use darks, I didn't use darks because I make dithering. Every second frame I make dithering. So if you are using lights and flats without darks, just be sure to upload also biases. Open. Okay, so now check all to mark all the frames. 33 light frames at F10, 60 flat frames and 60 bias frames. First, I will register the checked pictures. But first, yes, this is, I already said this, the standard mode. But for stacking mode of lights, I choose median because there are not many frames. There are only 33 frames. So choosing median will ensure, because I use dithering, choosing median will ensure that all the hot pixels will be removed. Okay, so median for lights, median for flats, median for bias offset. And this is it. Okay. Here in the Advanced tab, you can compute the number of detected stars. It's not enough stars are detected, so we make the threshold lower. Let's say like 10, I think. Maybe even. The image is very dark because it's only 60 seconds at ISO 200. So the stars are also quite dark. Okay, I always set the star detection threshold for such a value which gives me about 100 stars. That's what I do. Okay, so we have set the star detection threshold. Stack after registering. I want to stack after registering. Click OK for the summary of stacking of this session. Total exposure 33 minutes. 60 bias frames, 60 flats. All right. So now I will turn off the recording and I will be back after the stacking process will be completed. Okay, so Deep Sky Stacker is finishing computing the final picture. This is the final picture made at F10. Let's see how it looks. F10 lights, autosave fit. Oh, and this is the picture. This is the final stack of stars shot at f10. This is the final stack shot after f10. We can rename it f10 just to avoid confusion. Alright, so now going back to Deep Sky Stacker, what we need to do, clear list, open picture, no. Let's open the F10 lights once again, because like I said at the beginning of the video, we need one reference frame. And for this purpose, I will use the best frame with the highest score of the F10 material. So this one, the best one, I will leave, and I will remove from the list all the others. Remove from list. And now we will open F5 lights. F5 lights. I will open F5 flats. 60 F5 flats. And I will also open offset bias. Instead of opening the fits, 60 fits files, I can change to TIFF and open the master offset, master bias, which was done on the previous run, because biases are the same for both F5 and F10 material. The focal ratio doesn't influence the bias. So let's use master bias for this run. And now let's check all the frames. To check all the light frames, F5 light frames, but you uncheck, because when you check the frames here, you let Deep Sky Stacker know that the checked frames should be used for stacking. You don't want to stack one frame shot at F10 with F5 frames, because it is different material. It is darker, it has more noise, so you don't want to stack them together. What you need to do with the F10 reference frame is to click right mouse button and choose Use as a reference frame. There is an asterisk right now at the score, and this will let the Deep Sky Stacker know that it should stack only the light frames which are checked, but as a reference frame, use this one which is marked, the one from F10 material. This will ensure that all stacks, stack at F5 and stack at F10, will be aligned in exactly the same way. And this will help us a lot during processing in GIMP. Okay, so much for the explanation. So we have 20 light frames shot at F5, 240 seconds, ISO 200. Again, 60 flat frames, this time shot at F5, and one offset bias frame, the master bias, which was generated in the previous run. So, okay, let's start register checked pictures. The star detection threshold, I will need to increase it because stars are much brighter in the F5 material. Let's make it like 55. Maybe 50. Okay. Yeah, right. 93, I think. 93 stars should be enough. Okay, 105 stars. Okay, so the standard mode, like I said, this is important. Light again, median, flat median, bias median. Okay. Stack after registering. Okay. So this is the summary of this part of stacking. Total exposure is 1 hour and 20 minutes. One offset on master bias frame, 60 flats, method median. All right. And now we have to wait. So I turn off the recording and we'll be back after Deep Sky Stacker finishes its work. All right. So this is the stack made at F5. Let's see. Again. It's me again. I don't want to see me. I want to see the stack of F5 material. F10 light. By the way, you need to look for the autosave fit file in the same folder where your reference frame was, because we were registering all the F5 lights at one of the F10 lights. The autosave.fit file, the stack, is located in the same folder where the reference frame was. So let's rename it -F5. And now let's see how it looks like. Okay, as we can see, the background is quite clean, but the shape of stars is, well, heart-shaped stars. They look like triangles. And now, if we compare it with the stack made at F10, you can clearly see that the shape of stars at F10 is much better, and there is almost no chromatic aberration, but there is banding and some other issues clearly visible at F10. So what we want to do is to combine the image of stars shot at F10 with the background shot at F5. We don't want these triangle-shaped stars. And if I switch between two stacks, you can see why registering on one frame, on one reference frame, is so important. We don't need to do any alignment between those two stacks. We don't need to move around the layers in GIMP, rotate. No such manual alignment will be necessary, because both stacks are already aligned, because of the fact that we used the same reference frame for both materials, for F10 and F5 materials. Okay, so this is it if it comes about Deep Sky Stacker. So let's minimize it. And now let's switch to Siril. First, let's set the, it's already set, the home folder. And we open the first stack, autosave F5, just to make only two things: color calibration and a little bit of stretching. So for color calibration, we need to be connected to the internet. Am I still connected to the internet? Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Image processing, color calibration, photometric color calibration, NGC 869. Right? NGC 869, that's our object. Focal length 400 millimeters, pixel size of Canon 4000D is 4.3 microns, so the parameters are okay. Okay, so color calibration of the F5 material is completed. So now I will stretch the image processing, histogram transformation, but I think I will use only the histogram transformation without the async, async, async. Well, what I mean is I will use only the histogram transformation for stretching without these async. I think this is the right way of pronouncing this in English. Async transformation, because this one keeps the saturation at high level during stretching, and I don't want to saturate these stars which are affected by chromatic aberration. So I will just stretch the image using histogram transformation. Because for Starnet, which I will be using for removing stars, for Starnet you need a stretched version. It has to recognize stars. Okay, so let's keep it like this. Close, and let's save the image as autosave -f5 -stretch, but as file type we will see TIFF. We will use TIFF, 16-bit TIFF, because this is the format recognized by Starnet. Alright, so this is the first image. Now let's load autosave -f10, and I'll make exactly the same. I repeat the process. So first color calibration. Remember, it's important when you find the object in the database, you should click it here to update the coordinates. If you don't do this, then your plate solving may fail. The parameters are the same, so I click OK. Alright, color calibration is done. We have nice stars, but also with chromatic aberration, even though I used the Bader semi-apo filter. So it's not helping much. Okay, so now let's turn off the auto stretch preview and let's stretch the image just a bit, because I will be also removing stars from the F10 material. Maybe too much. I am also not using the async stretch because I don't want to increase the visible chromatic aberration. Is it okay? Maybe I will make another stretch. Oh yeah, let's leave it like this. Okay, apply, close. Yeah, I think it's enough. Alright, so the image is color calibrated and is stretched. So I need to save this as well. Stretch as if. And this will be 16-bit diff. Remember, don't do any cropping at this stage of neither of images. Do not crop neither the F10 nor the F5 material here, because we still want to keep the alignment of stars on both stacks exactly the same. Alright, so our work in Siril is also finished. And now the last stage of this part is to use Starnet, the standalone version of Starnet, to remove stars. F10 lights, this is where all our stacks are located. So first let's remove the stars from the F5 material. No stars. And run. And it will take some time. So I turn off the recording and we'll be back after Starnet finishes. Okay, Starnet finished removing stars from the F5 material. So now let's remove stars from the F10 material. No stars. No stars. Run. Okay, so Starnet finished removing stars from the F10 material. So right now we have 4 TIFF files: stretched F5 version, stretched F5 version without stars, stretched F10 version, and stretched F10 version without stars. So this is the end of the first part of this tutorial. What I will show in the next part, in the second part, is how to process all these files in GIMP. So see you in the second part of this tutorial.